Hello everyone. This is Ian Sampler with the 10 o'clock news. I am here to tell you something important. I have found something that will revolutionize education and bring it to the next level. That something is case-based learning. Tammy, if you would.
Case-based learning is a revolutionary new technique that allows students to grow faster and better than before. This is accomplished by the teacher, not teaching in a traditional manner, but instead letting the students discover. We now go to Joanne.
Thank you, Tammy. Case-based learning is something that is used both in school and the office. We now go to a description of one application of case-based learning in the workplace, as presented to us by Mrs. Anderson, regarding an employee at her workplace and an example she used to train up and coming HR representatives.
A little bit of information about Bill. He's a senior team member. He does have physical handicap. He also has a history of poor job performance. Under the previous management, allowances were made for Bill. Issues such as speaking informally with clients, coming to work disheveled, and not completing projects on time were tolerated. As HR professionals, you need to be aware of your responsibilities in regards to the American with Disabilities Act.
Now we go to our resident expert, Mr. Todd, for an explanation of both the role of the students and that of the teacher with this new method.
Thank you for that. Now, the role of a student in case-based learning is a bit different than what it is normally. The role of a student in case-based learning is not to actually find the answer or an answer to a question or test. Instead, they are to learn how to apply the information they receive to a real-life scenario. The students are to identify problems as they perceive it, connect the meaning of the story to their own lives, and figure out strategies to analyze the data and generate possible solutions. Students may or may not agree with the teachers, and they are able to raise points in their favor in order to defend the decision and explain how and why they reached it. This is another big difference between case-based learning and traditional learning. You may not have the same answer as the teacher, but that does not mean you are wrong. The role of a teacher in case-based learning is a bit different than how it is traditionally. Traditionally, the role of a teacher is as the ultimate source of information. They are the one who sets all the rules, they are the one who makes the decisions, they are the source of all the knowledge. In case-based learning, that is not the case. In case-based learning, the teachers are the facilitators, they guide. They guide the students into the correct path, or a path similar to. They give the students all the information that is required and allow them to seek out and gain their own answers, their own understandings. This is what makes their job so important, as well as so different from how it's traditionally done. Traditionally, the teachers are the source of it all. They're the ones who has to follow their answers, their responses, and their understandings. In case-based learning, the student may have a different answer, but it's not wrong. It may be even more right than the teachers for that particular scenario.
Thank you, Nick. Some recommendations for using case-based learning are: find a simple scenario that applies to real life. Give the students the relevant information and then simply let them discover their own answer. Whatever answer they give, have them explain how and why they reached that answer. Now to Martin with the rules.
Some rules to keep in mind are: 1. Tells a story. 2. Focuses on an interest-arousing issue. 3. Set in the past 5 years. 4. Creates empathy with characters. 5. Includes quotations. 6. Relevant to the reader. 7. Conflict-provoking. 8. Decision-forcing. 9. Has generality. And 10. Is short.
For that, Martin. Now let's continue back to Mr. Todd for a couple of further examples and scenarios for us.
Now, let's go over some simple examples of case-based learning in real life. One example would be a mechanic sees a problem with a car and he remembers that he has faced similar mechanical issues with similar models in the past. As a result, after discovering the answer to the problems in the previous ones, he remembers exactly what he did to fix it last time, and tries to see if the same thing will work this time as well. Another example would be the lawyer advocating a certain outcomes in trials, based on the precedents set by previous trials of similar nature. One last example would be based in medicine, where medical or pre-health students are studying a patient with specific symptoms. The students need to decide which questions are important enough to ask the patient in their medical history, how long have they experienced such symptoms, and etc. The case unfolds and they will use their clinical knowledge, the tests the patient has gone through, and so on, and develop different diagnoses and various treatments.
Thank you. We will now ask several students what they have learned regarding case-based learning, and ask them if they have any advice.
One thing the teachers could do is walk around the room and look for students or groups that are struggling and assist them or guide them back to the right direction.
Another thing that teachers may need to do is to encourage collaborative work. Cases present a unique opportunity for students to work together on projects and trade ideas. Allow and encourage the students to work as a group, instead of as individuals.
Another thing that teachers could do is to form diverse or stable groups as the situation requires. Forming groups with different backgrounds to make sure they come at problems differently, and forming stable long-term groups for big projects.
This concludes tonight's presentation on case-based learning. I hope everyone's learned something, and I know I have. I'll see you all tomorrow night, same time, same place. See you then.